Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much. My heart is always bursting with joy, I could say, whenever I'm at Oakland Center. I'm Pentecostal, basically. And there was a song they sing that said, how did it feel when you come out the wilderness? How did it feel when you come out the wilderness? And that's how I feel about, it was First Church at that time. That at First Church, I actually went from welfare to wonderful. My husband and I had separated, and I was on welfare, and I was embarrassed about that. And I would go to, I don't know what it's called now, but it was like Whole Foods or something like that. And so many people I knew would be there. And I would push my little cart around in the store, trying to avoid getting in a line with my food stamps and WIC and all that stuff, that other people would know I was on welfare, so I was ashamed about that. And my mother went to Unity, which was down in Oakland. And Jack Addington wrote a book, and they had it on sale in the bookstore at the Unity Church. My mother gave me that book for Christmas. My daughter said to me one day, Mama, that guy that wrote that book that grandmother gave you is speaking at a church on Clairwood Drive. And I found my way up there, and it changed my entire life. So I said I would write a book and call it From the Poor House to the White House. Because when Obama was campaigning, one young lady that was a member of our church became a part of his team. And as they traveled across the country, she would call me and ask me to pray. And I was praying and being scared at the same time. I don't know if anybody ever prayed and was scared at the same time, but I was praying and scared. And she would say, Renee, we're going into hour. You pray. And I would pray. And I was scared. And I prayed. And I was scared. All the way across the United States. And even the night of his inauguration, I was still scared because I had seen Kennedy killed on TV. And so I want to say to you tonight, don't bring your past problems into your present life, because it's impossible to enjoy the present if you bring in your fears from the past, because it contaminates your thinking. So much so that even watching his inauguration, in my mind, I was going, well, they still could kill him. They still could kill him. So I don't know why I'm talking about this. I certainly hadn't planned to, but I was speaking to Stacy Sadiq, who is here with me, and she helps me with the technical part. So when I tried to get on, and I didn't know the password had changed, and on and on and on. And I said, well, that's not my problem. Holy Spirit told me to go and preach. Didn't tell me to learn anything about technology. So y'all have to do that. But this is what came to me tonight. Don't bring the past into the now. Don't bring the past into the now. As you know, I've studied the Bible I've studied the Bhagavad Gita. I've studied the Quran. I've studied the Course in Miracles. I've studied Ho'oponopono. I have a certification in that. But all of these different philosophies and religions are all teaching the same thing. That you are where it is, and you are what it is, and you are why it is, and you are all it is. That there is nothing else. That even in the early Old Testament and Jewish Testament, it said God made everything out of itself. And that's all there was God. And that's all God had was to make you out of it was itself. So all the qualities of God, you have that. You have all the qualities of God. So just take a breath and sit up straight wherever you are. And just take a deep breath and realize every breath you take is the breath of God. There is no other breath. And that breath of God is being breathed over and over and over again. This breath is being recycled. It's the same breath of God. And those people you call your enemies, that's a name we give people that we don't want to love. We don't want to recognize that that's my sister in God and my brother in God. So we call them, we give them another name instead of my sister or my brother. Those are our enemies. So if we don't give them another name, we'll forget that we're supposed to be mad. Because basically we are love. That's all we are. We are love. Have you ever, I'm thinking of my late husband. I don't like that late word. But I remember we went to bed angry one night and he was way over on his side and I was way over on my side. And then somehow the temperature dropped that night and we got cold. And we woke up the next morning all snuggled up with each other. And all of a sudden, I think I woke up first. So I woke up and I was still, I'm gonna see what he gonna do. So when he woke up and he was very close to me, he kind of eased back. And then I eased back because we remembered we was mad yesterday. We remembered that we were mad yesterday. The Holy Spirit had come in and given an opportunity to get over that. But we brought the past into the now, which is what I started with. So somebody knows who I'm talking to. And if you want to, we'll have a time for you to testify about that so you can get over it. Because you cannot carry the burdens of the past into tomorrow and expect to enjoy the happiness. The big book said, for eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, nor have you any idea the good things that Holy Spirit has in store for you. But you got to put down yesterday. There was a time when I had the opportunity to pray for Kwame Ture, and he was a freedom fighter, and that wasn't his real name. That was the name he had chosen to fight apartheid or whatever was going on in Africa at the time. And he became very ill. And somebody who felt I was a prayer warrior or something like that brought me to see him. They brought him to the States and brought me to see him. And he had cancer. And I said, baby, You got to give up being mad. If you want to be healed, you got to stop being mad. If you want to get well, I can pray, but your anger is blocking your healing. So you got to stop being mad. And he looked at me, he said, Mother, I will die fighting. I will not stop being mad about the treatment of our people. I will not stop being mad about that. I will die fighting. And so he did. So when Paul told me that the topic was listen to your heart, I said, well, I did that when I was 14 or 13 or something, and that didn't work. And so we laughed about that because the heart, listening to the heart, has different meanings to different things. So my hormones was giving me some problems. And along came this guy that sat next to me in class. So whatever the feeling was, I thought it was my heart. And now, when I look at a 15-year-old girl, I don't care how much makeup and eyeliner she puts on, she still looks 15 to me. And when I look at a 17-year-old boy, he still looks 17 to me. Although we have some young kids in our church, they go away to college and they come back with beards and all that. And they say, Reverend, you don't remember me? I said, you didn't have all that hair on your face the last time I saw you. But they still look like children. And so what all I'm saying is that is as it is, because there is no time in God. This philosophy that we teach called the science of mind is not an easy pill to swallow, for lack of a better term. It's not an easy pill to swallow. For we start off with there's only one life. That life is God. That life is whole, perfect, and complete. And that life is my life now. And that life is the life of every person that lives. And everything that lives is living the life of God. But we have found ways to divide up the pie or something like that. And so I didn't really know. I knew that in mind. I said it all the time. And then I was invited to go on a fishing trip with some guys who were friends of mine. And then we went way out under the Golden Gate Bridge and somebody caught this great big fish and they had this bat on the boat. And they snapped, when they finally got the boat, they got them struggling to get this big fish in the boat, they hit the fish with this stick. And I had a fit. Don't hit that fish with that stick while I'm here. And the man said to me, if I don't hit the fish and knock him out, he'll jump out of the boat because the fish wants to live. Everything living wants to live. And I was shocked for him to tell me that everything that's living wants to live. Everything that's living wants to keep living. And so my son, Reverend Mawata, went to Vipassana for a 10-day meditation. I've never been, but he shared with me. He said, Mama, you have to sign a letter that you won't kill anything for 10 days. And he said the first night we sat down, a mosquito started to zooming around me and acting like he gonna bite me. And he lit on me and he said, Mama, my hand flew up so to smash this mosquito. And I realized that I had promised not to kill anything. And he said, I prayed, Mama. Oh, till the mosquito left me. Why am I telling you that story? Because whatever the problem is, the heart knows the answer. The heart knows the secret. The heart knows what you promised. The heart knows. I want to read this meditation from our Science of Mind magazine. You are spirit's outlet. Stop and listen deeply to your heart. The messages of your heart are unique to you. Listen beyond the words. What are the messages that in the business and noise of daily living you may not have noticed? I want to read that again. What are the messages that in the business and the noise of daily living you may not have noticed? Unleash your creativity to reveal how you transform these messages into action. You are spirit's outlet. For most of us, this concept is quite astounding and flies in the face of most of our early conditioning. According to Dr. Holmes, your place in life is to become an outlet for its wisdom, its intelligence, love, beauty, and creativity. Your relation to life is that you are an individuation of it. Its nature is what you are. You are it, and it is in you. Pure unmanifested spirit exists within you. This aspect of you has never been troubled. You are fashioned from this invisible God stuff. Its nature is incarnated as you. Because of this, your word has the power to localize and manifest itself in concrete form. Life is flowing through you. It is you, by the way of you. It decrees, affirms, knows, and imagines. What it decrees transpires. You are like it, and you rule your own world. We humans have been conditioned by worldly experiences. We humans, having been conditioned by worldly experiences, may have developed biases based on our experience and the well-meaning guidance of others. These perpetual biases may be at odds with our innate bias. This can be stressful when we feel a heart nudge to embrace what we have in common while celebrating diversity. The inner conflict may cause us to push back in fear. Self-talk may shout distractions such as, why me? What difference can I make? I'm only one of the 7.8 billion people in the world. How can I heal the world? Who am I to claim that I have any effect? Who am I to claim that I have any effect? I was speaking with a young lady today, and I said to her, in God, there's no such thing as a practitioner. I know that we have all that division and My grandmama used to call it big eyes and little U's. And that's Reverend Elouise over there. Go to her if you need prayer. No, I don't know how to pray for you. Go over there. She can do that. That's not true. That's not true. It's not true. That you have a calling on your life. If you went to all this trouble to get all these passwords and whatnot to get in this Zoom talk, you must have been meant to hear this. Because you could have tried the first time and said, I don't know what's the matter, but I tried to get in. But you persisted in getting in so I could tell you that you have a calling on your life. Because that's what I was going to say. That's what Spirit told me to say. That's not what I have written down on this piece of paper right here. I got tired of the week. Listen to your heart. Living in the heart of God. Living in the heart of God. Living in the heart of God. I have a question down here that says, what startles you? There's something about what wakes us up. And many times we don't recognize that we've brought the past with us. And I've often talked about how as a child I was afraid of dogs until someone explained to me that that's dogs barking at you is their way of talking. And I was going into this store and the man had a dog and the dog started barking and I stopped. I didn't move. And he said, oh, that's his way of saying hello. That's how he greets you. He can't say good evening, so he's barking to say hello. And so once he told me that, then when I went back, the dog would start barking and I would say, oh, hi, how are you? And then he just started wagging his tail and I said, oh, that is what he means. And so in my heart or in my person, I felt that I had gotten over the fear of dogs. And then I opened the door the other day and a big dog was running through the yard and I was face to face with this dog. My heart just started beating fast. And I looked and there was a woman walking down the street and this big dog was with her. And he didn't stay with her. He just running through everybody's yard. But I realized that remnants of the fear that I had with dogs had followed me until now. And also I want to ask you, what hurts your feelings? What hurts your feelings? What has hurt your feelings? Who has hurt your feelings? The Course in Miracles says that there's only two emotions, love and fear. And somebody else said, you ain't mad for what you think you're mad about. You're mad for something that happened in the past, and whatever happened now reminded you of that thing. That's why you're mad today. So I feel that it's like time for me to slow down. The heart knows. The heart knows. The heart knows. When you've totally forgiven, you see everybody like a little child. Because that's who we are. That's who we are. We're all children of God. we have nothing but love for one another. And I'm going to stop now, and Paul will answer questions, or I will answer questions, or whomever is responsible for allowing you to raise your hand. I will do the best I can with that. Thank you.
So Reverend E asked, what, 2 questions, Reverend E, right? The first question was, what gets you started?
What frightens you? What startles you?
What startles you?
Yeah, when I opened the door and this big dog was out there, it frightened me.
Okay.
And so the fear I feel was something from my past, because the dog didn't look vicious at all. He wasn't even watching me, but it was a dog.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was bringing the past into the present. So what startles us? And what was the second question?
What hurts your feelings?
What hurt your feelings? So if there's someone out there that would like to respond to those 2 inquiries and have a share or a question, you can unmute yourself, since we have a smaller group, and ask and show yourself and either share or respond to the question or ask Reverend E a question. Anybody out there want to break the ice?
Say something, Sally.
Ah,
She called me out.
Yeah.
I was being with your question of what hurts your feelings. And what comes up for me is when I feel misunderstood.
mm,
And oftentimes when I feel misunderstood, someone's telling me, I'll speak of my husband this evening. We're having issues with our air conditioner. We live in Antioch. It's 100 degrees. And so it's not a pleasant situation in the house right now. And so we were talking through how to approach fixing the air conditioner. Very mundane, real life stuff. And he says, well, don't freak out. It's all going to be okay. And I'm like, I'm not freaking out. I didn't think I was freaking out. I'm relaxed, but he's looking at me and says, well, no, you're not relaxed. And I said, okay, I'm not relaxed. So it hurts my feelings when I feel like I'm fine and somebody else is telling me I'm not fine. And I respond in such a way that, well, maybe I'm not so fine after all. I'm hot. I want the AC to work. So that's kind of where I am right now. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Well, actually, your partner is there to help you to grow. That's what I feel about that.
Yes.
That everything you need to learn about yourself, you learn it from other people, because you might think you're very calm, but somebody else sees you differently than you see yourself, and they usually see you as you are.
Absolutely.
I live in Pittsburgh, so I know how hot it is out here.
So I bless my husband because he knows me better than just about anybody. And now with the shelter and grace, oh my God, he sees me all the time. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that.
somebody else out there?
I will, Sherry, but I can't see. I'm
Okay, Sherry, let's see what we can do about that, darling. Hold on. Well, you're definitely,
there we go.
okay, definitely got audio. There you are.
There,
I
thank
see.
you. Thank you, Reverend Elouise. so much tonight. When you said meant to be here, we were meant to be here, I was going to go and take a nap. And something in me said, no, I have to hear Reverend Elouise. And so I did anything to get in here, password and whatever. And oh my God, I'll just say a couple things. One is what hurts me is people telling me what I'm feeling isn't what I'm feeling. And my sister today, my 93-year-old sister, I told her I didn't like my sandwich today. And she said, everybody loves that sandwich. And there's something wrong with you, basically, that you don't love that barbecue beef sandwich. And I just said, no, I don't like the sandwich. And I kind of stood my ground. But I realized that does it. And when people use harsh words or criticize, I get frightened inside. And that goes from my past, for sure. I know where it comes from.
Yeah.
But the other thing is when you said don't harm anything, I'm really going to out myself here. I helped a worm this week. And I thought, if I say that, people are going to think you're absolutely nuts. But this worm was struggling on my walk with my dog and all scrunched up. And he had a little piece of paper or something on his body, and he couldn't get it off. So I'm bending down, picking off the thing on the worm so he can be on about his way. And then I thought, Sherry, this is silly. He can work his way out of this, you know. But there was something that I remembered of my dad making me put the worm on the hook to catch the fish. And in some way, that whole thing came to a circle when I helped this worm on the thing. So the last thing I'll say is the reason I came tonight that I know is because I have been carrying around my anger at my daughter-in-law. And I've been carrying it around forever. And tonight, I heard you say, let it go. Is that me? You hear that? I'm sorry, there's some smoke alarm going off, and it's outside. So I don't know if you guys can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear you, and I kind of hear the smoke alarm, but I'm more interested in what you're saying.
Okay, and so I realized that I'm going to, 1 minute. Oh well, didn't help. And what I kept saying, how can I love her? How can I love my daughter-in-law? We're so estranged right now. I just feel no pathway back. I didn't until you talked. And that's what I came for tonight. My heart knows what to do and will know what to do. I don't know the specifics yet. So I just wanted to thank you. Thank you.
Have you taken any classes at the church?
Oh yeah, lots of them. But you're reminding me tonight of, you know, just the importance of it.
So, you know, my family is from the South, and most of my people were illiterate and didn't know how to read. And my grandmother she worked in a big house, and Black people know what that means. But she would learn. She was taught to read because she had to take care of the landowners' children, and so she helped them. And so they learned to read because they could go to school, but we couldn't go to school. We had to go to the cotton field. But my grandmother knew how to read, and she taught me the Lord's Prayer first. He says, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And she said, that means you're saying to God, whatever you have done, don't forgive you unless you forgive other people. Now, that's not a very good reason to forgive somebody, but forgiveness is like a weight, and it interferes with your own happiness. Doesn't interfere with the person that you can't forgive. They may not know a thing about it, but you will create illness in your own body. So you can go to a practitioner or get a prayer partner or call me, and we can work together because it's absolutely necessary that you forgive. Dr. Fred Luskin wrote a book called forgive for good. And he's a medical doctor. It used to be that medical doctors didn't have anything to do with religious beliefs of any kind. And he doesn't even talk about that, a religion at all, but he talks about the fact that he works at Stanford Hospital and his patients are people with chronic disease, incurable disease, and all kind of stuff like that. And he said he never saw a person with the chronic illness who did not have somebody they needed to forgive in order to get well. So it's necessary for you to forgive in order to get well. And you can get my phone number from anybody around there.
I will actually.
Okay,
I will.
so we'll work on that. And if you're willing, it's
I
possible.
will. I am. I absolutely want to. I definitely am. But what's burning is on my stove.
Okay, bye. You turn out the fire. Don't think I haven't done the same thing, burning up the food or something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
Okay, so Zoom folks, let's mute Sherry and do her camera for her. And is there anybody else out there that wants to share something or wants to comment on the subject of listening to your heart? What startles you? What hurt your feelings? Reverend E is interested.
Mhm. How you feeling, Grady? She's still there, I hope.
I don't know if she can. Oh, there she goes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
You asked the question, what wakes us up? And several things occurred to me, but I wanted to speak, if I can have enough breath to speak with tonight. But it's on the nature of all hearts are equal. I'm not saying all hearts are not, but I'm speaking about when your heart is broken over and over and over again. And I'm speaking about growing up in an environment where young Black men were killed constantly over and over again. And growing up as a child, I would think, that's not right and that doesn't sound right. But when you live in that kind of thing decade after decade after decade, then what happened? Because you're hurt over and over again. And also you're in fear because you don't want any of the men that you know, whatever they are, brothers or cousins or uncles or whatever, you don't want them to be hurt. And once in a while, that fear will pop up. And so I'm thinking now of hearing these things over and over, these last few days, several things, these young men and so forth, and how men have to live out their life in fear. And the one young man I heard on TV dying with that knee in his neck and calling out for his mother. It's heartbreaking. What happens to the heart? Are Black folks so broken down? Because they talk about us with all the diseases that go on that can contribute to this virus as being compromised. But so what happens? And also in dealing with this, forgiveness. How to deal with that when you know that next week your heart might be broken again?
Well, I thank you for opening up that can of worms. There's nothing I can do but laugh because it is, as they say, it's a deep question. And I have two sons, and for some reason, there's way more boys in our family than girls.
Mm.
I have that black boys thing to deal with. But I shared with somebody that when my forefathers came to this country, whatever their religion was in Africa, they couldn't worship, they couldn't keep on doing that. And so, but they changed to believe Christianity. And that's hard to fathom too, because in the slave castle in Elmina in Africa, when I went there, the point of no return where they took the slaves out to the boat, because the harbor is concrete, so the boats couldn't come in. And so there's what they call the point of no return. And there was a Catholic church in the yard at the slave castle. So that was hard to deal with. But with my children, I taught them the same thing my grandmother taught me. And it's the 91st Psalm. And the 91st Psalm that says that he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. And there is a verse in there that says, 1,000 shall fall on your right hand and 10,000 on your left, but danger will not come near you. And so I prayed with my children, and I was a country girl, and it came in handy because I didn't have to have a whole bunch of intellect. I could pray out loud on the street. I'd come in my house and I'd lay hands on the walls of my house. And I would bless the walls of my house. I blessed the bed they slept in. And they didn't mind. That's Mama. She's a little crazy. You okay? But Kwame shared with me that his kids was in the back of the car one day, and nobody ever wanted to go to church. But they started talking about me, and they started mimicking what I would say and all that. He said, Mama, I don't care whether they're laughing at me or not, as long as they heard what I said. And so Mawata and Kwame was stuck on a mountain in a snowstorm one time. And I was told that Mawata looked at Kwame and he said, well, you're my brother. You're the only brother I got. It looks like we're going to die together on this mountain tonight. And Kwame said, we're not going to die because Mama's praying. So I don't have an answer for racism or any of the isms or the illness, Corona-19, and all those. Racism is an illness just like this, Corona-19. We gave this one a name, and we call it something, COVID-19 or something. And this other illness that's a plague, we call that racism. And so it's the same thing. It's an illness that is affecting the whole world at this time. And it's a pandemic. It's a fear one person has for another, one group has for another. I don't know any way to explain it. I didn't expect that question. I know it's the truth. I know it happens all the time. But I feel like I was born as a solution. And the solution that I have is prayer. When this young man was killed at the BART station, I was in the beauty shop. And I sleep always in the beauty shop because that's a good place for me to rest. Somebody's messing with my hair and I'm relaxed. So I always take a nap. I step on the cool grass wherever I can. And that's one time I do it at the beauty shop. The beautician said, oh my God, Reverend E, they setting the garbage cans on fire and this and that. And I woke up and a person that I know was standing up yelling and saying, they can't keep killing our Black kids. And I said to her, get down from there. Your job is to pray. Your job. There has to be somebody who keeps on praying. That's all I know. That's all I have to offer. And that's what I do. I keep on praying. I pray for my kids. Some going to Africa, some going to Malaysia, some in Hollywood. They're all over the place now. It's impossible for me in my human form to do anything now but pray for them. And that's what I do. That's the only answer that I have to the heartache that I feel for my children, my grandsons, my grandsons, my great-grandsons. Now I have great-great-great-grandsons. I don't know. I just want to live the life that I preach about. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad you had enough breath to speak. I want you to be sure and drink something now for your throat, because you got to keep your throat moist. You got to rest as much as possible. You got to give this world back to God. You were born into this world for whatever reason, for such a time as this, but you were not born to carry the burden of all the Black men who are having these traumatizing experiences. I love you. I'm glad to hear you speaking. I had heard that you were ill. I'm praying for you. You must get better. Thank you.
Appreciate your talk.
Thank you.
Appreciate the church community.
Thank you.
Reverend E, you said we were born to be a solution. Is that correct? Did I hear
What
that?
I feel.
Wow. If we take
That's another Bible story. Could it be that you came into the kingdom for such a time as this? That's why you're here.
we were born to be a solution.
That's it.
Wow.
I feel like our church is the solution. I learned so much. I learned so much. I've seen our own religion change. I've seen the Science of Mind. It was a very white, elitist philosophy when I came in. I sent out 25 Black ministers. Well, we're going to pray now. So we now have diversity programs and all that. But the Holy Spirit's time is not ours, because we would like things to change instantly. And that's not usually how it happens. It takes a long time.
Right, Reverend E, if you're willing, would you be gifting us with a closing prayer to send us on our way tonight?
Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful evening. I would like to remind people that Jesus' first miracle was abundance. When he changed the water to wine, it was an increase in the value of the water. And another time, somebody needed money to pay their taxes, and he told them to go fishing, and the first fish you catch, open its mouth and it will have a coin, and that's the money to pay your taxes. So we were meant to be wealthy. We were meant to be wealthy. We were meant to have an abundance of every good thing, because we also were meant to be responsible to those who have not. The scripture said, to whom much is given, from them much is required. So all of us on this call have so much to give, and so much is required for us. This has been a wonderful night for me. I so appreciate. I had just had a conversation with Stacy and said, I'm a Pentecostal preacher. I can't preach sitting down. And then I came in here with the preaching. I thought, oh, I guess Spirit wanted to show me that I can preach sitting down. Because in our church, we run up and down, we holler loud, we stomp our feet, we clap our feet. And I have been confined to this screen and this chair, and I have had such a wonderful time. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So we go our separate ways, knowing that we are not apart, we're never alone, we're never by ourselves. Because this infinite intelligence is everywhere present. There's not a spot where God is not.
That's right.
Right where you are, God is, and wherever you go, God is there also. And for this, I'm truly grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
Yes.
And so it is.
Yeah.